Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
Welcome to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And I'm your host, Alanna.
I'm Kelsey.
And Gordo's in the back being quiet. Shh, Gordo, quiet. Just kidding.
Oh my god, I don't even... Can you hear him?
No. I was kidding.
Okay. He started scratching a toy, and I was like, as soon as he said, and Gordo is quiet, I hear of him like beating up a toy, and I'm like, oh my god.
I totally jinxed it, yeah.
Yeah, like immediately.
No, I was listening to And That's Why We Drink earlier, and Christine goes, oh, sorry, can you hear, I think it was her cat Juno, hurling himself or itself against the door. And I was like, no, but okay.
Just locked out, yeah. Gordo does that. He'll start attacking the door handle, because it's like one of those lever door handles, so it's got the little thing, and he's strong enough he can like pull it down, and then he can push the door open, so I have to lock them. So that when he tries to hit the door handle, obviously it's not gonna turn because the door's locked. So
that's just like someone jiggling the stall door when you're in the bathroom or something. It's just awkwardly.
Or like a horror movie when you can see the knob turning and you're just like, oh. That's how it feels. Just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Whichever one that did the bathroom kill scene with this in whichever Scream it was with Jada Pinkett Smith.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's like thinks she hears someone through the bathroom stall wall or something, so she keeps putting her ear up to it, and then
they stab her.
I know. I used to be like scared going, like, you know, when you go to the bathroom at the movies, and it's like it's in between, like it's during the movie, so then it's like nobody's in there, and it is really kind of creepy, especially after you watch that movie as like a teenager. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
He's hiding in the stall next to me with a knife.
Especially at probably the theater I most often go to would be at the mall, and there's probably 20-25 stalls in the one huge main bathroom part. It just like is a whole row of them, and it has an entrance on either side, so there's like two entrances into there.
At the WEM.
Yeah, you go in there.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, you go in there in the middle of a movie, and you could be the only person in all of that. And you're like, it is a little creepy because all the doors are just closed and you can't see in, and you're just walking down the row.
They naturally like look closed. And then famously, I guess, in North America, compared to other places, they say we have really big gaps in between stalls, which I have found to be true. I don't have much else to compare it with, having not been a lot of other places, but in the new space we are in, like this big, we're just in a basement in a big room or whatever, but then so now we have just like this one little 3-stall toilet, you know, where they put the paper towel right in front of one of the stalls, so that you basically have to stand like right in front of, like, trying not to look through the cracks as you try and like hover your hand to get the paper towel. It's so tiny. Stupidest little bathroom.
That sucks.
Why do they do this to us? Why? I don't get it.
Yeah, just whoever planned that was very poor planning. Awful. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend.
You go in, I don't even go in that stall because the the paper towel thing's right in front of it.
Yeah.
B, it flushes like a freaking I don't know. What's something that has a really big engine? A turbojet. Whoosh,
Oh.
like sprays up onto the seat. You have to like run away.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's
stupid.
one thing about some of the auto flushing toilets is I hate when it auto flushes while you're still sitting on it. And you're like, thank you, bidet. Like,
yeah.
Just,
accidental bidet.
Yes. Awful.
No. I've always wondered if bidets are, because if it's cold water, like I don't want any of that. No, that sounds uncomfortable.
No, I think it's supposed to be warm. But
I don't know.
yeah.
I'll have to get the toilet attachment, I guess, to find out. Christmas is coming. No. They were just talking about that on a different podcast I was listening to too. She's like, I got a bidet attachment. I don't know how I can go back to regular toilets now. They're all inferior. I'm like, I don't know. I've never tried it, so.
Yeah, I haven't either. They're a big thing in like Paris Asia? And all that stuff.
Yeah, I think like China and Japan too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll know, guys. Let's have a fun fact from somewhere in the world. Speaking of other places in the world. Do you want one that's segue. From America? I'm like, other places. Other countries. Okay, would you want to go fact that's from America? Just a little south of us, or should we go across the pond and have a fact about Ireland? Ish.
Let's do Ireland-ish. Okay. I'm intrigued.
Okay. This one could have been saved for St. Paddy's Day, but whatever. It's at the top of the page here. And it sounds fun. It says 162,719 pints of Irish stout go to waste every year, ... via mustaches.
What? Like just getting caught in mustaches when people are drinking?
Yeah. Apparently.
Wow. Ugh. That's a lot.
Study, yeah. Apparently there's been a study done. Who thought of this? I don't know. Who funded this? I'm not sure.
And how do they measure that?
Suck it out? No.
Yeah, do they vacuum men's mustaches after they drink?
Well,
dab them with a paper towel? I don't know.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you can't just go with what's left in the glass because you need to know it's what in their tummy.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay,
is there more information?
Know. Well, a little bit, but I don't know if they're going to answer your hard-hitting questions.
Okay.
She's all about the logistics, guys. She's always got to know.
Yeah.
It says the study found that 0.56 milliliters of Guinness get trapped in the average beard or mustache with each sip, and it takes about 10 sips to finish a pint. Okay, I'm still not sure yet exactly how they're quantifying it, but that at least I know what their math is.
Yeah, okay.
An estimated 92,370 Guinness customers every year in the UK have facial hair. Assuming they consume on average 180 pints each a year, the total cost of wasted Guinness annually is about $536,000. Yeah.
Wow.
The moral of this story: shave and save. Uh-oh. At least we didn't do that one in November.
Yeah. Drink your Guinness through a straw.
Yeah. Now you just have me thinking about how did they really think they measured that so specifically.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, that's so weird.
It doesn't bear too much thinking about, does it?
Yeah. It's like a milk mustache, but they're like, no, your beer, you're wasting your money because your beer is getting trapped in your mustache.
Yeah, they like use the mustache as kind of like, what's that thing you use to check your oil? You dip, is it a dipstick or something? And you put it in to check the level. They just like measure how many millimeters up the wetness is on it.
Yeah, okay. Ugh.
That is weird though, because when I got my teeth cleaned the other day, you know what she did? They never done before was they're like, we're gonna measure your gums and see if those are receding by any like
Oh, okay.
millimeters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them were a little bit. She's like, oh, I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah,
Maybe you
I
should get
had
a
one.
water flosser. I was like, oh, okay.
I had, because I was getting hot and cold sensitivity uh
Oh yeah,
on my
always.
one tooth really bad.
Oh.
So
Mm-hmm.
the last time I went in for a cleaning, just month and a half, 2 months ago maybe,
Yeah.
uh they were looking and they're like, yeah, your gum on that tooth has receded down. And they
Okay.
like took a picture and they showed me, and you can like tell that that one is like a few millimeters lower than the rest of them. And
Right.
even now,
Weird,
if I
hey?
run my fingernail across there, I get like a shooting, like slight pain, but I can
Yeah.
feel it because the nerve is exposed. It's not as bad as when it first receded. Because I've been using. They told me to. It would help if using like the Sensodyne, like sensitivity kind of
Yeah.
toothpaste and stuff. Uh, and then I've been wearing like my mouth guard more because I do clench my teeth when I sleep. So,
Oh, same. That's why I had to go get a
yeah.
night guard. I just picked it up last week.
Yeah, they say that causes like receding gums, and I know I clench my teeth more on that
Ah,
side. Uh, and I chew my
okay.
food more on that side. So I was like, ooh, I don't want it to start happening to all of my teeth because like this really hurts.
Oh. Yeah,
So,
because I've had cleanings before where they like get down into it and I've been like flinch because it
yeah.
has hit a spot that hurt so much before. But this one wasn't bad. She was good, even though she was like, oh yeah, there's a little bit. But then she was like, but I try to be gentle. And I was like, oh no, you were good. I wasn't
Yeah, sometimes
flinching
they
in
are
pain.
vicious when they're in there cleaning. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's that scraping sound too, right? I'm like, "Ugh," nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
drill, the it's like, oh,
Yeah, it's usually the
yeah.
scraper one that makes the hair stand up on my arms, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I just hate
Anyway.
the dentist.
Ugh. Anyway,
I
I'm sure
still
this is
go, but I
lovely.
hate it.
Oh yeah. Nobody wants to talk about it though. We're giving you guys great dentist ASMR over here. Talking
Yeah.
about the noises. Um, but that's okay. This one's going to be like pulling teeth because we're talking about family annihilators today. Wah,
Yes.
wah,
Not a
wah.
fun, not a fun episode.
No, it's tough. True crime's always a
Yeah.
harder one to get through. Doing the notes, especially. Yep, that was
Yeah.
kind of rough this time. Had to take some breaks. Yeah,
Mine
but
wasn't too long, so it wasn't
yeah.
too bad. There isn't a lot, I guess, of maybe like details, so that wasn't
Okay.
as bad as some ones I've done in the past, but overall it is just kind of a harder topic, I guess, just because it's so sad anytime it
Oh,
happens.
totally. Very dark. I mean, any murder's dark, but then it's
Yeah.
like it's multiple murders with this one, and it's family members. And I don't think I maybe talked even about any, except for maybe on the one I did for the Cruel Summer, because that one was a family that was killed. Like, well, it was highly debated whether it was done by the son or not. In that
Okay.
one, yeah, I think that was the nope. Don't remember the name right now. I didn't tell that one to you, did I? Because we did it separate for that one.
No.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
and then now I'm blanking, but it was interesting. Go listen to that one, you guys. That was in Cruel Summer. um,
Yeah, I don't remember specifically if I've
I
done.
yeah.
I think I've done like family members that killed other family members, but not necessarily somebody that killed like a bunch of their family members, like these ones
Yeah.
typically are.
No
Uh,
Amityville horrors or nothing that we've covered yet.
yeah.
Well, rip off the Band-Aid. Tell me what you got for me today.
I have the story today of the Fisher family.
Oh,
I
Fisher?
Yes.
Like fisherman? Okay.
Yeah, I think I either had heard this one before, or I remember seeing the guy's face, because when I looked
Oh.
up the notes and started seeing pictures of the family, he seemed vaguely familiar to me. So I think I had heard this somewhere,
Oh.
um, or had at least seen his picture from something.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard
Uh,
of it. But hard to tell from the one name, I guess.
yeah, the main guy, his name's Robert William Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he was born April 13th of 1961 in New York City to
Oh.
parents William Fisher, who was a banker, and Jan Howell, his mom. And he had two sisters. I can't remember if they were older. I don't think it really said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember seeing his siblings' names
Oh,
in
okay,
anything I
yeah,
read.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just sisters.
Yeah. So Robert ends up marrying his wife Mary Cooper in 1987, so he would be 26 at this time. And the couple had two children that they named Brittany, and they had also had a son that they named Robert William Fisher Jr. So carrying on,
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah,
But he's not quite the third. Okay.
no,
Because remember the father's name was William also. The
yeah, he's
grandfather,
William.
whatever.
Yeah, the father's William, the main guy is Robert William, and the son is Robert William Fisher. So he's the
Bobby Billy
junior.
Jr.
Yeah, they just called the son Bobby, so I'll be calling him
Okay.
Bobby.
Oh,
Yeah.
cute.
So it did say that Robert, the father, he had medical knowledge from his work, previous work as like a surgical technician. He also had experience as a respiratory therapist. And before
Oh.
that, he had worked as a firefighter, but ended up having to stop due to this back injury. And the back injury must have been pretty severe, because it said he had like an unusual walk, like a distinctive walk, and kind of like
Mm.
uh his back ended up being kind of messed up. So we'll get to it. There's like description of like what his spine kind of looks like and how he walks, like, because of this injury.
Interesting. Yes, okay. A very
Yeah.
distinctive gait. Okay, got it.
Yes, exactly. It seems like at the beginning of their marriage, he had also served in the United States Navy, and he was described as an avid outdoorsman, a hunter, and a fisherman.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay. So, like,
yeah, so,
military and
yeah.
firefighter and like a whole bunch of
Yeah,
different
like,
backgrounds. Yeah.
great careers to be in. Uh,
Right.
but
Interesting.
keep in mind, he's very comfortable outdoors and
Hmm.
would probably be described, I'd say, a bit as like a survivalist. Like, he'd do okay.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
yeah. So the family, with everybody like Brittany and the wife Mary and Bobby, they all lived in Scottsdale, Arizona. And the family was kind of described as like a difficult family life. Um, Robert was described as displaying cruel and controlling behavior towards his family. So not good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, multiple occasions they described disturbing and violent behavior that was reported. Um, some of it was by like friends and family. I couldn't really
Hmm.
make out if it was like reported to the police, but
Right. it
Yeah.
was known about, at least in their circle.
Absolutely, because a lot of people talked about it. Some of the sources said that the couple fought about like sex and money,
I mean,
and
who doesn't? But
yeah,
that's like two main things to fight about for sure. If you
right,
don't get enough of either, you're not going to be happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It said that Mary even got a job that she ended up telling friends was a quote unquote security fund. So, like, she's kind of putting her
Oh.
own money aside.
Oh, a
Yeah,
security for her for a
yeah,
rainy
probably.
day or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Robert
Hmm.
also had issues with the kids. It said that he didn't like that Bobby didn't like to hunt or fish, like didn't really
Oh,
have much of an interest in like the outdoor activities that Robert liked to do. And
okay.
reportedly he also ended up trying to teach the kids to swim by throwing them off a boat. I have heard this like a bunch of times. I feel like it was definitely a thing in the 80s of just chucking kids into water and expecting them to know how
Yeah,
to swim.
yeah, it's
So,
kind of like a trope
yeah.
almost. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard of that too. You're like sink or swim, like, but
Yeah.
it's
But somebody,
interesting.
a family friend, I think that was with him when he did this, at least on one of the occasions he may have done this, said that like Brittany was like screaming and everything and like flailing in the water, and he was kind of ended up just giving up and like dragging the kids back into the boat and was like really
Oh
mad that
no.
they didn't know how to swim after that and stuff.
Immediately.
And the friend was like, yeah, the kids
Right.
seemed pretty traumatized by like him almost letting them drown and like
Yeah, I feel
not
like
doing anything about it.
yeah, I would hear about that more in maybe like a pool, a pool
Yeah,
setting.
this seemed to be a lake because they said in a boat. So
That's a little bit more
not a great.
difficult, yeah,
Yeah.
to rescue someone if they start to go down.
Yeah, or even see them because yeah, like in a pool the water's clear,
Hmm.
you'd be able to see if they went under. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh yeah, it was also really weird. It said that, and this was in multiple sources, that he wouldn't allow the family to paint any of the walls in the house, anything other than white.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Gross.
right?
So
It
clinical.
also, yeah, like that would be awful.
Yeah,
It
so
also said that only a
controlling.
small number of special like pictures of the family were ever even allowed to be hung up. So he was like very controlling about like the artwork. It said that Mary
Wow.
did like quilting stuff and might have done like needlepoint or something like that and stuff that she wanted
Mm.
to hang up because she had made it herself and she was proud of it, and they would get in fights because he would never let her hang it up and he would make her keep it in a closet, and then he would constantly like tell her, why haven't you thrown this garbage out, like it's just
Oh
taking
my
up space.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I always agree with my partner on art, but if it was something I made and was proud of, and I wouldn't be allowed to just play it anywhere in the house or something, and then he calls it
Yeah,
garbage, like that's really unnecessary and cruel.
exactly.
And yeah, just the not being allowed to do stuff in your own house is really shitty.
Yeah. Friends that went hunting with Robert described disturbing behavior on different hunting trips.
Okay.
One of the friends described Robert as having smeared the blood of an elk that he had shot. Like he smeared the elk's blood all over his face.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
very unnecessary.
Yeah, if it's not for like a cultural, significance, it's just
Yeah, gross.
gross. Yeah.
On at least one other occasion, it's reported he snuck up behind a family that was having this nice little picnic, and he ended up emptying like the clip of his gun, just shooting it into the air behind them, like to
Wow.
scare them or something. He's not shooting at them, but he just like emptied his gun into the air right behind them, and they didn't see him coming up. So they were probably scared shitless. Like,
Oh, yeah. There was no trigger warning for that one.
Yeah.
There's like that Simpsons character. He's like this Texan that usually has, two
Oh, yeah.
holsters, one on each hip or whatever. I don't know. I think he might have OCD too, because one time he was like shooting up in the air. He has to go bang bang 1 2 3 4 bang bang 1 2 3 4 like
Oh,
compulsive. Yeah, this is what I'm picturing now. Like just an idiot with a couple of guns, like showing
yeah.
off for no reason.
Uh, this was also like just weird and disturbing. So it's reported that he had shot a stray pit bull that was in the neighborhood.
Oh,
He claimed that it was attacking his Labrador retriever, but police that it was reported to actually maintained that he ended up orchestrating the attack between the two dogs as an excuse to shoot the pit bull. Like he set it
oh
up
my
and
God,
intentionally made it happen. Um, yeah,
that's fucked up.
yeah, very. I feel bad for that dog and his dog because, yeah,
Hmm.
that's disturbing. He would do that to his own dog, like set it up to get attacked.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
homicidal triangle they talk about when they're kids, if they're hurting animals
Yeah,
or
animal cruelty. Like, that's so
bedwetting or
sad.
fires, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Um, some of the last bit of, I don't have too much more like background, I guess.
Hmm.
Said that Robert had cheated on Mary at least once with this sex worker that he had met at a massage parlor.
Oh,
And this was backed up that like this happened because he reportedly told coworkers that it had happened, partially because he was worrying that Mary would find out that it was actually like this affair was the cause of a urinary tract infection that had made him sick for several days and like kept him from going to work.
what?
Yeah, so he told coworkers about it, like that's why he was
Yeah,
sick and
that's
stuff.
stupid.
So yeah,
That will keep her finding out, telling other people.
right.
Okay. The
Robert's
sharpest.
parents.
Hey, what is it? Attack in the box. Sorry.
Uh, Robert's parents had actually divorced when he was 15, and it's later said that like they believed that their divorce when at a younger age for him had contributed to some of the difficulties he had later in life.
Oh, cry
Which I
me a
mean,
river.
I know plenty of people's parents are fucking divorced. Like,
Right? Hello.
yeah. And all the while, like Robert, well, all this behavior, like the weird hunting stuff and the stuff with the dogs and affair and controlling behavior, all while this is happening, Robert's trying to maintain to the rest of like the family and the outside world that he's this really devoted family man and like they have a
Yeah,
picture perfect life kind of thing. But yeah.
right. Yeah, they're like scared to be seen as anything but perfect, it sounds like,
Yeah,
with his case.
probably.
Yeah.
So in 1998, friends noted that Robert began speaking about committing suicide due to the state of his marriage. And then also in 1998, the couple ended up going to their church's senior pastor for marital counseling.
Oh,
So that might
okay.
have worked for a little while because it is a few years before everything happened. I don't
Okay.
know how much, if anything, got better from that, but Mary's mother, this is from Wikipedia because it had some nice quotes in this. Uh, Mary's mother, Ginny Cooper, told investigators, quote, Fisher didn't socialize often with family because of a fear of getting too close to people and losing them. Uh,
Oh, weird.
yeah. Fisher's mother, Jan, told investigators that she had been a yes sir wife who did not stand up to Fisher's father. She added that she saw similar dynamics early in Fisher's marriage to Mary and that she had spoken to her about her concerns. and also said that a close friend of his stated that his family bore a striking resemblance to that of his childhood. Like,
Right.
so just like
Very.
repeating the cycle and
Yeah.
everything.
The
Yeah.
man's the domineering head of the household,
Yeah.
and the woman's like subordinate.
Yeah.
Is Gordo being a dick?
Yeah, he's just flicking his tail.
I heard it a couple times. My dog's outside my door too, I think.
Yeah, so this was more from Wikipedia. These were quotes from Wade Rensock, former neighbor. Thought these were interesting. He said, quote, they did not have a happy marriage. They screamed constantly and everybody heard it. You could hear it in the house next door, and you never really heard him scream, which is kind of weird. I mean, he had a way about him, but you never heard him scream. You always heard his wife screaming things like, "You're worthless. I could have done better than you, and we should get a divorce." End quote.
Oh, no.
I thought that was interesting that, like, he's never screaming.
Right. And you can hear her
But that
side of
doesn't
it.
mean he's not, like, still being, like, abusive or at least, like, psychologically abusive towards his family. Just because you can't hear him being the one screaming or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, he could be just hissing at her in fury and, like, spitting in her face. We don't know.
Yeah, but definitely not a happy relationship from either side.
Yeah. It's not great sounding.
No. Robert told one of his hunting friends that he was renewing his commitment to his faith after having distanced himself from the church for a number of months. Like Mary was always really involved in the church, and Robert had kind of taken a step back leading up to the events, but right before everything happened, he kind of was like reinserting himself into the church and was talking about this. Yeah. He also said that he, like, during this time, he began saying that he couldn't live without his family. And Mary, at the same time, had started to tell several of her friends that she was planning on divorcing Robert soon.
Yeah, I bet he could tell that she was fed up. But
I'm sure he could, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's just, like, realizing what would happen if that were to happen. Sounds like he's like, oh, great, my life is gonna fall apart. Like,
yeah, this picture perfect family, and or he thinks it's picture perfect, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So leads us to the events of April 9th, 2001. Around 10 p.m., a neighbor reports hearing a loud argument coming from the Fisher home. And then that's really all it said. And then approximately 10 hours later, at about 8:42 a.m., the Fisher home suddenly explodes. Like a huge explosion happens inside the home, and it bursts into flames. The whole house. Yeah, it's crazy.
I wasn't expecting this to go
explosion.
full Michael Bay movie, so, like, what?
Right? It's crazy. So Mary, age 38, Brittany, 12, and Robert Jr., age 10, were all inside the house at the time of the April 10th, 2001 explosion. And their bodies were discovered lying in their beds. So, like,
so everybody,
firefighters,
the whole family, including the father, you said?
No.
Oh,
Robert's
sorry.
nowhere to be found.
Okay, it's just because the similar names. Okay, damn it.
Yeah, sorry, that's Bobby. So firefighters who were responding to the scene noted that the explosion had been strong enough to rattle houses in all directions for about half a mile.
Wow.
Yeah. And when they arrived at the scene, neighbors were actually responding to the fire. They were trying to use garden hoses to keep the flames under control, which I think was really cool of them. Like, they took actions pretty quickly, because I think firefighters would have responded really quickly to this.
Hard to miss that, I'm sure.
Yeah, there is pictures of it. It was described as kind of like an inferno. Firefighters
So then,
quickly...
Yeah, there's probably no chance of them saving it with little normal household garden hoses or whatever.
No, but they did, like, keep it contained enough, because when firefighters took control of the fire, after briefly having to keep their distance as a series of smaller secondary explosions started going off, these they believed were unintentional, likely caused by rifle ammunition, like, heating up, or even paint cans heating up. Like, all these little explosions started going off. But the firefighters and everything successfully kept the 20-foot high blaze from spreading to any of the neighboring houses. So that was good. I mean, they probably had heat damage or, like, warped siding and stuff, but at least it didn't keep spreading, because it likely could have. Because looked pretty crazy.
Together, probably. Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
The newer houses, and they built them so close together, and everything is just so flammable. Unless it's like freaking stucco. That's really
ours is very close to our neighbors, I would say. You know, you can spit on it from your yard or your door or whatever. Yeah.
So Robert wasn't home at the time, as I said, and responders at the scene discovered the bodies of, like, his wife and children inside. Further examination of the scene revealed that the explosion was not their cause of death, and they had actually been murdered. They figured this out really quickly.
So they weren't just unsuspectingly blown up out of the blue. Great. It's worse than that.
Yeah.
That's not surprising, though. I don't know why I would be surprised. I was surprised when the house blew up, but now I see he's just more trying to cover his tracks.
Yeah, that's what they believe he was doing. So Brittany and Bobby at least had their throats slit. It was described from ear to ear. The only saving grace is it seems like all of these murders happened when they were sleeping. So yeah, hopefully
that is like the Amityville one. They were all like in their beds.
So yeah, the kids had their throats slit from ear to ear, like they're sleeping, and then some sources said, like, all three of them had their throats slit, so, like, including his wife, but his wife Mary was shot in the back of the head. So she could have also had her throat slit. It varies source by source, but she was definitely shot in the back of the head as well. Jeez. And yeah, police theorized that the murders took place between 9:30 p.m. and 10:15 p.m. Like, so that would have been shortly after, around the time the neighbor reported hearing the arguments and everything, but it also said that they were, like, sleeping, so I think the timing might be out from, like, the neighbor's statement or something.
They go to bed early.
Yeah. And then at 10:43 p.m., Robert was spotted on an ATM camera withdrawing $280. And so they know for sure, like, this is him, because they've actually released these pictures. And he was driving Mary's Toyota 4Runner. At the time, he had left what I think was his truck behind in the garage, because if you look at pictures of the house, they had kind of a carport, like, overhang on their driveway, and you can see his truck parked inside, and then the house, it looked like it had kind of a driveway that goes up to the side, and then the garage is kind of like a front attached garage, and then the carport was at the side, so his truck is kind of parked under the carport, and then the main part of the house is what exploded. So when they went and the fire got put out, you could still see the truck and the carport, but the rest of the house was basically gone.
Oh wow. How convenient. His truck was pretty fine.
Yeah, right. So he was seen spotted on this footage. driving Mary's vehicle, this Toyota 4Runner. Through like their investigations, they determined that, or believed, some sort of accelerant may have been spread around the house. They described as like the flames that were in the house is more than you would expect from what would be typically found within a house fire. Like it was
Okay.
just so hot and like spread so quickly and everything.
It was like Michael Bay wrote it. It just
Yeah.
Well, I think we were watching Family Guy earlier, and then like they jump out of the house and it explodes, and then just like keeps exploding and keeps exploding and
Oh
keeps
shoot.
exploding, like kind of making fun of like some of those old 80s movies and stuff. Pow, 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 pow! And like
Yeah,
from
they
5
think it's
different
the last
angles.
one, and then oh yeah. I like those. Yeah. It's like it's just the highlight reel from like 8 different angles.
Yeah.
Let's see that instant replay again and again. They definitely know that the fire was intentional, or I guess I should say the explosion was intentional, because the gas line from the back of the house's furnace had been pulled off, and this caused accumulation of gas that was then ignited by a burning candle that was left nearby. So this setup was really interesting because the candle was a far enough distance from where the gas would start accumulating that it would take about 10 hours for the gas to accumulate enough to reach the candle and to have caused the explosion. Like, wow. So he was buying time. So this gave
and how
Robert
would he have figured that out if he's not an explosives engineer?
Yeah, that was
you'd have
a little
to have
weird
some understanding. Yeah, it's almost like giving yourself a what do they call it? I just had the word. The line lit the fuse, like that.
Yeah,
that delays the explosion because it takes time.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
So it gave him this huge like 10-hour head start in getting away before their bodies or the explosion even happened the next morning. So police theorized that Robert had murdered his family because he had understood and felt threatened by Mary's plans to divorce him, and that he didn't want Brittany and Bobby to go through what he did as a child, like being children of divorce, I guess. Like,
sure.
So better to just kill them.
Want to go throughout life without them, and he's a coward. Sorry.
Right? I know.
Yeah. What a shitty piece of shit. I don't know. That's all I have to say.
Obviously they figure all this out really quickly. Robert was virtually named the police's only suspect, and has been the police's only suspect ever in the deaths of his family. They quickly released this statewide bulletin with the issue to arrest him, like on the spot if anybody found him. So
yeah, because he doesn't want to live without them, but then he kills them and runs off to go live without them. Like, fuck you. Sorry. Just makes me so mad.
So April 20th, this is 10 days after the explosion, Mary's 4Runner, her car, was discovered in a forest near Young, Arizona, about 100 miles away from the home. And the family dog Blue was found outside of it. He was actually hiding under the car, and he was very hungry and described as like in an agitated state. So they said he might have been there for a few days before he was found, like by himself. So hadn't eaten or anything like that in a few days.
Aw. Poor Blue.
Yeah, right? This was interesting. This I only found on Wikipedia. And that was that an Oakland Raiders hat identical to the one Fisher was last seen wearing in the ATM footage was found inside the vehicle. A pile of human excrement was found near the passenger door. There's no explanation.
Body?
No.
Just like...
Yeah, well, he is a pile of human shit.
Exactly. I was just hoping.
There's no explanation for that. I don't know what. And although police searched the area immediately around where the vehicle was discovered, they only searched one out of the dozens of nearby caves. There's like all these caves nearby, and they only searched like one of them.
Okay.
Some of these caves form this really complex underground network that extends for miles beneath the surface, and like they only ever searched one. So yeah, several professional cavers have suggested that Fisher used them as a hiding place before either escaping, killing himself, or dying from low oxygen levels. And professional cavers have visited these caves many times in the years since the murders, but no sign of Fisher has ever emerged.
I was afraid you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
That's
Spoiler,
why I was like, no, don't tell me.
He's a wanted fugitive still. He's never been found.
Him. What a dick.
Yeah.
I don't want to live without you. Anyway.
Right? A couple from an Indian reservation near where the car was left reported seeing a man who fit Robert's description walking along the road in the days before the car was found abandoned. They said that this area, like this Young Road, I think it's called, it's like a fairly vehicle heavy area. So like if he had been walking along the road, he could have like hitchhiked or picked up a ride. There's also all these theories that he had an accomplice. Who knows? Yeah.
Why do they think that, I wonder? Just 'cause
I think it's more like along the lines, that he got away and he's never been found. So they think, also from Wikipedia, Lori Greenback, who was an acquaintance of the Fisher family, she said that her husband had gone camping with Fisher in the area where the truck was found shortly before April 10th. So like leading up to the murders, him and Robert had gone camping in this area, and she said that her husband believed that Fisher was scouting the area out, and according to her, that he was very familiar with that region. So again, like this whole, he's a outdoorsman, like survivalist. Some people believe he did survive in the woods for like a fairly lengthy amount of time before maybe like leaving the area and going and getting a new identity or something like that. Yeah.
It's plausible.
But this like Young Road area where the car was found is obviously the last known location for Robert William Fisher. He has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, unlawful flight to avoid prosecution, and first-degree arson. He's currently on the run for allegedly killing his family and then blowing up their house on April 10th, 2001. He is known to go by the alias Bobby Fisher. Yeah, I don't really know how they... Yeah, right? The FBI ended up getting involved, so Robert was the 475th person to be added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list. He was added on June 29, 2002. He's also been profiled or featured on America's Most Wanted's Dirty Dozen episode, and was profiled on The Hunt with John Walsh. I know my mom, always liked John Walsh. He's the one, his son got kidnapped and then was killed.
Oh, he's the host of America's Most Wanted, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But he also did The Hunt. It was a separate show, I think. The FBI
he was with Manhunter. Also... Sorry. When he goes after people on a horse. That reality show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I've seen that, yeah. That always gave me such bad anxiety. I only watched a few episodes of that.
Yeah. To do it, they had to run away from in the woods, and he's tracking them like a Mountie or something, and they're literally just trying to get to and they feel like they're literally running from the law by the time they're done, because it's such an adrenaline rush.
It just gives me anxiety watching those kind of shows. It's weird. Yeah. Even though I know obviously nobody's gonna get hurt on either side, it just is still anxiety inducing. The FBI offered a reward up to $100,000 for info leading to Fisher's capture. By April of 2003, the FBI had hundreds and hundreds of leads, but nothing that ever panned out. So they had all these reported spottings and stuff like that, but nothing ever worked out when they investigated it. By April of 2016, FBI officials and Scottsdale police displayed new age-enhanced photos of Fisher during a news conference on the 15th anniversary of the murders. And Robert was removed from the top 10, like, FBI's most wanted list on November 3rd, 2021. And they, in their statement, they said, despite his removal, he remains a wanted fugitive. And theories about his whereabouts range from him having committed suicide nearby, like where the Forerunner was found, and that his body has simply never been located, while others believe that he had been hiding under an assumed identity and is either still alive or has since passed away, and his remains were not identified as Robert Fisher. So, like, maybe he passed away under this assumed name he had taken on.
Yeah, maybe.
Those closest to Robert described him as an arrogant and stated that had he intended to kill himself, he likely would have done so in the house after rigging up the explosion to go off. So, like, he likely would have killed himself, and then the house explosion would have, like, covered up the murder-suicide, you know?
Protected his reputation even after. Yeah, I'm more inclined to think something along those lines than him going off and just killing himself sort of unceremoniously in the woods compared to the rest
because they said he was so, like, arrogant about it that if they believe he was going to kill himself, he would have done so, like, with his family. So they don't believe he did kill himself. They believe he is still alive or maybe has passed away for a different reason since.
But it's only been, like, what, 20 years? So
no, it's been longer. It was, oh yeah, I guess like 22 years now. So
okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I don't know if I believe he's still alive or not, then.
The reason why, like, police are still, like, pushing this is that they have speculated that Fisher may have started a new family. Because he was still fairly young when this happened, and cited that the fear that he might eventually decide to leave and annihilate that family like he did his original family is one of their chief reasons for continuing to search for him. Yeah. So going through, like, his, like, age per enhanced progression, whatever you want to call it, pictures, like, will be on the drive. Like I said, I feel like I had seen these before because when I saw the picture of the family, I was like, he's definitely familiar to me.
Oh, okay. I'll have a look.
Yeah, so he's described as, like, medium build, 190-ish pounds, 6'0". Yeah, had prior experience as this said surgical catheter technician, respiratory therapist, and fireman. Hair color brown, eyes blue, light complexion. He's white, he's American. For, like, scars and stuff, Fisher has surgical scars on his lower back. And then for, like, his physicality, this is where they kind of talked about it. Fisher is physically fit and is an avid outdoorsman, hunter, and fisherman. He has a noticeable gold crown on his upper left first bicuspid tooth, so, like, his canine tooth has a gold crown, which they said is pretty distinct. That's not very often. It's like that.
I can't really see it because his mouth is never open in most of them.
Yeah, right? He may walk with an exaggerated erect posture and his chest pushed out due to a lower back injury. Fisher is known to chew tobacco heavily. He has ties to New Mexico and Florida. And Fisher is believed to be in possession of several weapons, including a high-powered rifle. Yeah.
Sorry,
and
I just saw the kids.
Yeah.
He just looks so average, though. Yeah, I don't know how else to just.
Yeah, right?
Could be anybody, yeah.
I don't know if the FBI is, like, still offering up that reward of $100,000. This is, like, from their original, like, wanted kind of thing that they posted. Yeah.
And then they thought they caught him on video because there's some
Well, they
black and
did.
white
That's
footage. Oh,
definitely him. That's that
oh,
ATM footage that happened right around the
oh,
times of the murder. So there's some people
right.
that think that footage happened after he killed his family, and there's some that think that footage is
Oh,
right before. So like he went back to the house after being on that footage and killed his
oh,
family,
wow.
rigged everything up, and then left. Um, but he only withdrew $280, and they
Hmm.
don't talk about like bank records after that or him withdrawing any funds. I assume they would have like tracked bank usage or anything like that. So $280 is not a lot
Yeah.
to run away with. So
No. It's
yeah,
not even like
it's
enough
nothing.
to be like, yeah, trigger any kind of money laundering uh
Right.
limits or whatever. Where they're like,
Yeah,
don't do more than $10,000.
it's a really
Yeah.
low amount um
Hmm.
for him. So
Weird.
yeah, but the car
But
was found 10 days
yeah.
later. So he, at least, even if he abandoned the car a couple days before that, like the couple said that they saw somebody matching his description walking along the highway like a couple days before they found the car on the 10th. So at least like
Hmm.
past a week after, he was still alive and he was in the area.
That's so weird. And he
So,
obviously wasn't trying to hide that he had gone. Like,
right? Like, I don't
cemetery.
know how they didn't find him in those 8 days.
Yeah, if
Like,
he hung around the area, that just seems stupid.
because
But
they immediately were like searching for him and issued statewide
yeah.
bulletins that if they found him, he was to be arrested. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can't see any remorse or any kind of emotions like
No.
that in any of his actions. And I've just been reading that finally got to that Mindhunter guy's book by John Douglas and
Oh, yeah.
Mark Olshaker or something. And like, oh, it's like the people, some of the lesser known guys, but still crazy sociopaths or whatever you want to call them that they talk to, that they're just like, killed a kid that like you knew, like, you know what I mean, like you knew like their parents or whatever, or like
Oh,
was given, because they were so good friends with the parents, they were given a child's like trusted safe word that only trusted adults would have, and like use that against, to like lure this
oh,
small child away. Yeah, just like the most heinous behavior.
yeah.
And then John was like called in to see if he was should be eligible for parole, because he kept coming up for parole, and the parole board was like, yeah, we want you to weigh in on this kind of thing. And he's just
Okay.
like, he's just like he doesn't show any remorse or feeling for any of the family. And like, I don't see that he wouldn't just, and like he was motivated by this and that blah blah blah, and then like I'm not seeing that any of that could change. He could have
Just do
another
it
crime of
again.
opportunity come up again. Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
just
yeah.
so senseless.
Anything involving kids is just so heartbreaking. I'm like, I want to
Mhm.
have no empathy for them when something involves kids. I'm like, fuck you, stay in prison the rest of your life. Goodbye.
Right, but
Like,
it's just the reason why we have to try and understand those people too, to be
yeah.
like, well, what the hell what could we have done to prevent this, if anything? Because it's just so, yeah, so fucked up. Wow, that was
Yeah.
really crazy. I had not heard of that one.
Yeah, like I
um
said, his picture's familiar to me. When I was looking it up, the story didn't necessarily sound
mm-mm.
like familiar to me, so I don't know why his picture was, but yeah.
No, sadly, I have heard one similar, in the way of, there was a house that was blown up with someone's children inside, but it wasn't even this one, which is horrible and
Ugh,
gross that there was,
awful.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember hearing one where it involved like the um what are they called? Social worker had gone
Oh.
to drop the kids off at the house or something with the dad, but then the dad like slammed the door, locked the social worker out, and the social worker like calls 911 and is like, something's gonna happen. These kids are in the house with this dad that they shouldn't be in with, and he's just locked me out. And I remember like the 911 operator in this case was kind of like almost didn't believe them. So it was like in retrospect really horrible that then like, yeah, he like blows up the house with 2 kids inside. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah.
That's
just like
awful.
yours, but not like yours. Yeah. It's like, holy fuck.
Jeez.
Yeah. Man. Nope. That was a crazy one.
Just weird. I happen to think he definitely escaped somewhere, whether or not he started a new family or has since died for a different reason. That's kind of how I would.
I could see the new family thing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because he seems so fucking arrogant to be like,
yes.
Like, you don't love me anymore and this isn't going the way I want it to. And he was always so controlling that he just wanted to.
And a lot of like abusive people do threaten suicide, but they would never actually go through with it. It's always just a threat. So just because he was talking about it before doesn't mean he was ever actually going to follow through with it. It is a very like psychologically abusive
the
thing.
people. Yeah, because he doesn't see himself as the problem or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Whether he was saying he couldn't like live without his family or whatever, it doesn't mean he would be likely to actually kill himself.
No, it's more like the if I can't have you, no one else can kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a more controlling thing than somebody who's like actually depressed and suicidal. Yeah.
Right. Which maybe we'll see more of that type of one in my case. It'll be a little different. Great.
Okay.
We'll run the gamut here of different kinds of
the 2 sides.
Illnesses. Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, we'll have a break and mentally and emotionally prepare ourselves for round 2.
Quick break. Grab yourself another cup of tea or whatever you need to get through this next part.
Yeah. Well,
all our longtime listeners will definitely know that recording a podcast is not always easy. Nope. So you better believe, like, when we find something we like, that we're going to probably stick to it and not look for anything else. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love Zencastr. When we tried it, we were like, okay, finally, I wanted to have the video, and it's up to 4K video, which is pretty effing cool. I can see every pore on Kelsey. No, I'm just kidding.
I hope not.
But it's a great video and like just really easy on this one. So like once we stopped recording on our phones, I was like, yeah, this is the one for us. So even though sometimes our computers fuck up, it always comes through for us in the end, because we've never lost like a recording, knock on wood, and every time we've had to use it, it's just been really great and really easy, and everything's just recorded when we wanted it to, which is, it's a lot to ask for when you podcast as much as we do.
Yeah. It's nice that each of us has our own separate audio recording that you can download and edit. So it makes when one of us is doing something or has something, it's easy. You can edit that out even with the other person was talking, because you have 2 separate tracks that you can edit. Yeah, it's one of the reasons we love Zencastr. Definitely, it makes it a lot easier. And the audio quality is also a lot better than any of the other programs we tried using in the past.
Yes, it is the best. So go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code CRYPTIC, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan.
We want you to have the same easy experience as we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
Keep it cryptic. Hello, we are back. And no, you're not ready for my case, so I'm just gonna give it to you anyway. Because it's now getting late on a Sunday night for us to be recording, which is weird for us. But that's the way it worked out this week.
Yeah, I was closing on Friday when we normally record. And then yesterday I was still working on my notes.
Ready then.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't ready.
Yeah. I just watched a bunch of movies yesterday instead. It was great.
That's awesome. We watched one movie today, than which we could have probably watched two smaller ones, because I told you we were like, okay, we're watching Oppenheimer if we can get through it, which we did, but it was a little long in my opinion.
Yeah.
Great cast, like so many people.
Yeah. I do want to eventually see it. I think it'll probably end up on Prime first. Whatever service it ends up on for free, I will watch it on when it's free. I don't pay for stuff, so
I can't remember if we watched it for free, if he maybe bought it with Xbox points. Yeah. But yeah, now I'll have to watch Barbie and you'll have to watch Oppenheimer.
Yeah. I love Barbie. On my shirt, we kept having girls' sweaters, like little hoodies that said, "Hi, Barbie." And I kept holding them up for my coworkers and, "Hi, Barbie." So funny.
I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more entertaining to me than perhaps Oppenheimer.
I think it's cute. You kind of just have to take it for what it is. Don't take it too seriously.
I never do with movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
All right. So this is the story of Chris Michael Benoit, but really the story of the whole Benoit family tragedy, as it were. So
yeah, you've teased this one to me a few times, but I
just known of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just because of hearing the Chris Jericho wrestler talk about it before, but I hadn't really dived into it. So here we go. But yeah, he was actually a Canadian who was born in Montreal, Quebec. What?
Okay.
Yeah. On May 21st, 1967, to a Margaret and Michael Benoit. So yeah, he's a little bilingual boy. He could speak English and French. And he had one sister, and I don't remember anything saying her name either.
That's so unfortunate.
I know. I can't say I went particularly digging. Like there was a lot of info on other stuff, so
Oh, okay.
I got a lot of that stuff from like Jericho's podcast. Anyway, I'll talk about it. So this is fun fact. He grew up in Edmonton. We know her. We know Edmonton.
Oh no. Hailing fucking Travis, what's his name? Fucking Dexter Killer and this dude.
Oh.
We're not doing so great.
Oh, the guy that's Mark.
Yeah.
Mark something. God damn it.
I thought it was Travis.
Last name.
Why did I think it was Travis?
Because there was a Travis Vader that killed somebody somewhere here in Western Canada or something. Yeah. There's so many to choose from, as it were. Yeah, but okay, but this one's just not a traditional true crime case that we would do normally. Normally I would cover something like this. Yeah. So it's just like a bit on his career and stuff, of course. But yeah, it was cool that he was like from Edmonton, and he was billed as hailing from Edmonton for most of his career. So whenever they like say where you're from, even though sometimes it's not where the person's actually from, they always said he was from Edmonton. I think one of his ring names was the Rabid Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Yeah. From All That's Interesting, the quote, he was pretty much driven from the age of 12, 13 to get in the wrestling industry. His father, Mike Benoit, explained. Chris lifted weights every day. He was 13 years old. He was breaking records in high school in our basement.
Okay.
He's really into it.
Always in that like bodybuilder kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, totally. And he happened to love and idolize such wrestlers as Tom Dynamite Kid Billington, who I hadn't really heard of, but also Bret the Hitman Hart.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't watch like wrestling anymore, but I used to with my dad when I was younger. And my favorite wrestler was The Rock.
I mean, come on. And I really like Chris Jericho, who's friends with Chris Benoit, who we're talking about here, which is why he knows so much. And Jericho is like Pat's favorite wrestler, and I think he's similar to The Rock in that he's got that energy and like personality, and he really sells it. He was talking to William Shatner on one of his first podcast episodes that I happened to run across when I was looking for these other ones. And he describes it as like almost like a vaudeville type of play that you have to do and stuff, like, because it's like, you know how they have like the soap opera type storylines and stuff.
Yes.
Like, they really have to,
the behind the scenes stuff, the background stuff of them walking the long hallways, like stomping down the hallway, just coming after you.
And the trash talk and everything. Well, get to some of it. I've heard the Bret the Hitman Hart too. I think I renewed his license plate last year because he still lives in Alberta.
Oh shoot.
Because this family, the Hart family, has what they call the Hart family dungeon, colloquially. It's out of Calgary. So that's where like a lot of the wrestlers, and I guess in Western Canada, got their start, like Jericho and Benoit and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've heard of it. Even though they call it a dungeon, which sounds scary, but it's really just in someone's basement, like it's in Stu Hart's basement. But it was famous for training like up and coming wrestlers, and stuff like that. But funnily enough, I quickly was Googling it just to double check. I was like, that's out of Calgary, right? Like, I heard of this from Chris's books or stuff before. And I Googled the Hart family, and what comes up was a female family annihilator case, which had nothing to do with what I was trying to Google. I know. How are there just so many? Apparently it was this female couple, Jennifer Hart and her wife Sarah, that killed their 6 children. And I was like, great, now there's another one that I'll have to cover if we do a second version of this, which we might not for a while, because it's pretty rough.
Not for a while. There are hard cases to have to research.
I don't think it's something everybody wants to listen to every week either.
No, it's a lot.
He ended up adopting a mix of his idol's wrestling styles. The quote, high risk style and physical appearance more reminiscent of the former, which was the Tom Dynamite Kid Billington. And then he adopted Bret's sharpshooter as his own finisher, like their finishing move or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
In them. Yeah. So he started out on the Stampede wrestling circuit, which is, I guess, the one around Calgary or
Calgary,
whatever. Yeah. Because we're the cowboys of Canada here.
Yeah.
At least that's what definitely Calgary's known for. The Stampede down there.
Yeah.
Okay. So from Stampede Wrestling to New Japan World Wrestling, then on to WCW, which stands for World Championship Wrestling, and then on to the WWF, WWE, whatever it is now. His first match was on November 22nd, 1985 in Calgary, a tag team match with him on a team with the remarkable Rick Patterson. That's his name.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. So scary, right? The remarkable Rick.
Yeah.
And they were pitted against Butch Moffat and Mike Hammer. They won after Chris pinned Moffat with a sunset flip. However, not everything worked as well with that debut match. Because he tried something and it didn't work as well. It said on Wikipedia, from the beginning, similarities between Benoit and Billington were apparent as Benoit adopted many of his moves, such as the diving headbutt and the snap suplex. The homage.
I love the names.
I know. I almost had to click on every one of those to try and see what it was, but
yeah,
having a wrestling move described is not the same as seeing it. I'm like, what?
No. It's hard to figure out when it's described.
Yeah. I didn't think I bothered including any of them. I was like, oh, I kind of get it, but
yeah.
The homage was complete with his initial billing as Dynamite Chris Benoit, so I guess that's what he went by the first time. But according to Benoit, in his first match, he attempted the diving headbutt before learning how to land correctly and had the wind knocked out of him. Yeah.
That's not good. Okay.
No. And he said he would never do the move again at that point, so he dropped that one like right away.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's fair. Okay.
It's like, nope.
Yeah, it's like so many things. The first thing you need to do is learn how to fall properly.
Right.
Yeah, in like so many sports, the first thing you need to do is learn how to fall correctly and like safely.
Okay, yeah, I thought you meant just wrestling. I was like, did you learn that on Glow? No. Just
No.
kidding. But yeah, you're right. It was probably true of a lot of them. He was very good, winning 22 championships and being lauded for his technical skill. But he was a perfectionist and would just beat himself up, figuratively, of course, if he fucked up.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, like it was like this kind of like self-flagellation that Jericho witnessed firsthand during a New Japan pro wrestling match, where apparently Chris Benoit accidentally sold, meaning, made the, like, reacted to the move that Jericho was doing. Even though Jericho slightly screwed it up, so it kind of made it look like he was reacting to something that didn't really connect or actually hit him.
Okay. Yeah.
Even though they don't really, really hit each other for most of the time, or they,
where they're like pulling it. Yeah.
Yeah, like when it looks like they like slam them head first, like with that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But of course they do really hit each other with chairs and stuff, so it's like, there is that.
Yeah.
So what it said was Jericho slightly botched a spin kick with Benoit selling a move that had barely touched him. The spot would have happened so fast that barely anybody would have noticed anyway, but the imperceptible mistake weighed heavily on Benoit. And then this was on the Wrestling Inc. article talking about finding Benoit backstage after the match. Jericho said on Talk is Jericho, after the match was done, I went looking for him. I couldn't find him anywhere. I found him in the boiler room doing squats. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I should have never bumped off that. That was so unprofessional of me, and it was such a bad rookie mistake. I had to do squats. He did 500 squats as like purging himself for making that mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, and he kind of like finished that one off by saying that, like, when you hear things like that, when you kind of equate it to the last few days, there was a lot of issues with him.
Okay.
So he was troubled, but found happiness outside of the ring several times because he was married once to a woman named Martina, whom he had 2 children with, and they were David and Megan, but they had been divorced by like 1997, so that was his first marriage. And then he began dating a woman named Nancy Sullivan, who was a fellow wrestler. She was born Nancy Toffaloni, but then had been married to the WCW booker / I read head of creative and frequent opponent of Benoit's, Kevin Sullivan. Sorry, too many Chris's.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
This is Nancy. She's married to Kevin. Okay. Kevin, as both Benoit and Nancy's like boss and booker of all the shows and stuff, came up with a storyline that would have Nancy start cheating on Kevin himself with Chris Benoit in the show.
Oh, all right. Okay. That sounds great.
Does this sound like it's gonna go well?
He's manifesting this affair.
Yeah, and Nancy had been a wrestler too. She had this is fun. She had wrestled under the ring name of Woman.
Woman
character. There's a picture of her with the Woman title. She's dressed up. She doesn't look like she's doing a caveman thing or anything, but apparently.
Okay, I see Slay Girl. What's the?
Oh, Slay Girl! She looks so good in that bikini.
Yeah, she looks like she should be on a Sports Illustrated magazine. Like, what is she doing?
She's gorgeous, just stunning. So like, then of course, yeah, exactly. You can see where this is going. She's got a storyline with this Chris Benoit. She's gorgeous. They fall in love for real. She played a character named Woman.
I am Woman. First name Woman, last name Woman.
Sometimes she was doing stuff like lighting. I don't know. They'd be like valets and managers of some of the wrestlers. I think I have a bit on it on her thing there more, but yeah, she would like go out and like light the guy's cigarette for him before he went on stage and stuff. They were saying, I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. But like she could wrestle too, right? But they didn't always give the women the storylines. Anyway, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, I remember seeing some women wrestling matches, but
yeah,
it was never the same. It was a lot of like hair pulling and like shoving and just more like bad mouthing each other and just yelling at each other.
Yeah, it's better now. They do have a lot more women's matches, and as I have here, I knew they stopped calling them the divas and started calling them the women's champions instead of just divas.
That's good. Yeah,
yay. Progress. But yes, it became almost WWE legend status that he had booked his own divorce. Because Chris and Nancy got together, and he had written it himself.
Damn.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. I thought that was crazy. But also there was other shady stuff. Like once Nancy suspected Chris of having an affair with, at the time, one of the divas, so-called WWE divas.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when your relationship starts the way it does, I guess.
Yeah, by one of you having an affair, it's not great.
Although I hate to say it like that because it's like they're not like they intended to, but just in playing the parts, they just But yeah, it's definitely a weird way to start and stuff.
Yeah.
There was popular online speculation that the diva in question was Victoria. I don't know who she is. But I do know she categorically denied it in a post on her MySpace page.
Oh, MySpace shout out.
MySpace. These were the times.
Yeah.
A man named William Regal spoke on his podcast, Gentleman Villain, of being in a terrible car crash with Chris and Nancy. I know, what a name.
Sounds like some romance novel.
Yeah. Maybe that, yeah. I don't know if that was his ring name or anything. I just read this story. He was in a car crash with them. He referred to it as a death experience for all of them. They were headed back to the hotel after training at the gym in preparation for the upcoming pay-per-view Spring Stampede 97. They stopped at a stop sign and waiting for traffic. He noticed a vehicle coming at high speed in the rearview mirror, heading right at them. And all he could do was watch in abject horror as it came barreling into the back of their stationary vehicle.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sucks. And then...
Right?
Yeah, especially
Can't
like if
anything.
you know you can't go forward or anything because it's not safe. Like, what do you do? Oh,
Yeah, because you're going to hit someone else.
damn.
They were hit badly. The other car flipped over, causing them to flip 3 times over.
Jesus. Yeah. That's so... They must have been going so fast.
I know. So apparently they were upside down, the roof was crushed in, and then like William woke up and he saw Chris and Nancy hanging there, and they looked to him like they were already dead. Chris's tongue was apparently just hanging out of his mouth. But William managed to kick himself out of the car and pulled the other 2 to safety somehow, amazingly.
Oh my god.
Good thing they were all in shape. I don't know.
Yeah, that's some like superhero movie shit.
Right? And then the car exploded. No, I don't know. But they still wrestled that night at the show because
the show
god, always goes on. The WWE.
Jesus.
Always. They don't let that stop them. Not Vince McMahon. He's gonna make his money.
Yeah.
If they didn't stop when Bret Hart's brother died on the way down to the ring that one time, like they just let the show go on. No, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't get me started on. I could do a whole podcast on the crimes of Vince McMahon, I'm sure.
Right.
Yes, so throughout Chris's career, he had many friends, including Jericho and guys like Eddie Guerrero. He was super close with Nancy's family, like her sister Sandra. She was on the Jericho's podcast. It was really cool to listen to her, especially because she said she's been told she sounds a lot like Nancy by a lot of people that knew them. Yeah. Nancy was born in Boston. She debuted in her first match in Florida and was wrestling with the WCW in a group called the Satanists. These names.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here it was. She managed this guy called the Sandman, and her like shtick was going out, lighting his cigarettes before the match, opening his beers, and also apparently hit his opponents with something called a Singapore cane, which when I hovered over it on Wikipedia, it says it's a shinai, a Japanese sword made of bamboo for practicing and competitions of kendo. Kendo competitions?
Oh, yes. I've seen that.
Okay. Kendo stick? Yes, maybe I have heard of this.
Yeah, it's basically like the wooden sword. It's a bunch of the pieces and they're like tied together, and then it has like the protector thing across. If you Googled like an actual picture of it, I'm sure you would be like, I've seen that in movies.
It looked familiar, yes.
Yeah,
there was a little picture and I was like, oh, okay, I think I know what that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, they definitely had like lots of friends, but it was also told that Benoit could be a bit of a bully too, especially to the younger talent.
Okay.
One quote.
Threatened.
Yeah. Threatened. Oh, he was such a big guy too. I don't know why he would be. Anyway.
But no, but like feeling his career threatened by like up and comers or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a big thing with his mindset. The importance of his career.
Because it is very like performance and like personality and like stuff based that.
Well, and hard on your body too. It's like hockey or something where they'll call the hockey players old if they're like in their 40s because you just can't like do it that long in your life.
Yeah, right? There's so many injuries.
Yeah. So current AEW ring announcer Justin Roberts went into details of these in his autobiography, Best Seat in the House. According to Roberts, on one such occasion, Benoit tackled him to the ground in an airport along with Jamie Noble. Both men put him in a double crossface and refused to let go even after he tapped.
Oh.
Yeah.
In an airport?
Yeah. The incident left Roberts unable to walk for days afterwards.
Oh my god. That's not okay.
I was surprised too.
Wow.
And then it said, oddly, in spite of the bullying behavior to Roberts, Benoit would also treat him with kindness and often called Robert's father to check up on him as he was going through cancer treatment.
Oh.
The duality of man.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't really understand that, but okay.
No, yeah, it seems like hazing sort of behavior.
Yeah.
But just extreme. I know this other guy they talked about him bullying. I was like, oh, I recognize his name. The Miz. He's like this little blonde guy. He's in the Scooby-Doo movie where they do a WWE crossover. So if you've ever seen that,
I think I have.
Maybe we watched it with Rain because she definitely owns it, along with like the one where they have Kiss guest star because Scooby-Doo's done a crossover.
I have definitely seen the Kiss one. I don't know about the WWE one.
No. Okay, so yeah, he bullied the Miz, and I said, yeah, so did we from our couches a little bit. Anyway.
Shoot.
Oh, he's fine. But Benoit basically kicked him out of the locker room for getting chicken crumbs on someone else's duffel bag. For 7 months. Okay. He wouldn't let him back in.
Shit, that's okay. That's a lot. I thought maybe just a day.
Extreme reactions. Yeah.
Yeah, 7 months is a really long time.
I know. Yeah, and then there was other weird behavior. Sadly, Benoit seemed to become more and more paranoid in the months before his death. People stating on that Dark Side of the Ring documentary. I don't know if you heard of that one. I haven't seen it, but I'm not sure if I get whatever it airs on. But apparently he was becoming obsessed over possible like being a target of kidnapping, child kidnapping, and violent fans, all this kind of stuff.
Okay. Seems a little weird.
I know, it does seem rather specific. I do know, he started taking different routes to the gym, the airport. He felt like he was being followed. I'm not sure what that was about, but they mentioned on the Talk is Jericho that there had been at least one actual kidnapping of someone adjacent to the wrestling world. So I guess it wasn't completely unfounded, but I literally did not have time to look into like whatever this kidnapping was. I should have done a cursory glance, but these notes were already getting long by the time I had my two main sources going.
Yeah.
They were really good sources. What became so like Sandra, his sister-in-law, talking on the podcast, what became really noticeable was a little bit more of like a sense of unsafety and paranoia for the family. He'd just be like constantly checking the alarm at night, constantly be checking things. And for himself, he used to be fairly laid back about stuff like that, but there was never any issue with that. So when it did start happening, I noticed immediately. I still kind of look back on it. Was it a precursor to everything that happened? I don't know. Yeah.
Just this like obsessive actions. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, the exact cause of the paranoia. But there's a lot of factors going on that they pointed to, especially in the one article there with like the different things in his life going on. He was given the nickname of the Crippler Or one time I saw the Canadian crippler.
Oh,
And
shoot. Okay, that
yeah,
sucks.
this was after a match where his opponent's neck ended up broken, but it wasn't like it was really his fault.
Oh.
So it said this nickname was cemented when Benoit wrestled Sabu at November 2nd, Remember, 1994. The match, the main event of the show, ended after just 2 minutes when Benoit threw Sabu into a face-first bump. Sabu miscalculated and tried to change direction mid-air, causing him to land directly on his neck. So,
Oh. Okay.
Sabu, yeah, it said he broke his neck, causing damage to his spinal cord and nervous system.
Jesus.
While that's rough, it's like it doesn't sound like it was a mistake, like, you know, a
No, if the other
miscalculation.
guy
Yeah.
should have been going like one way that they had rehearsed or what you would typically do, and he decided not to do that, then yeah,
Yeah.
sounds more accidental than like intentional or anything.
Yeah, it's always a risk because as much as they try and what is it, choreograph things, it's not like doing an actual
Yeah.
stunt scene. You only get one take.
Yeah.
um so it said that afterward, according to the book Ring of Hell, I don't know who wrote that, but they're talking about it in the article. Paul Heyman found Benoit hiding in a closet. You know Paul Heyman? He's a really loud
No.
guy he was he's always like what, the manager for Brock Lesnar. He comes out and shouts and talks and blah 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 because Brock Lesnar doesn't say a lot. He's just a big guy that fucking knock you out, but doesn't really
No.
say much. So this is like his hype man. um, but he's been with the WWE for a long time too, I guess. Anyway, so Paul Heyman found Benoit hiding in a closet, rocking and weeping uncontrollably at what had happened. He was terrified that he had crippled Sabu in the ring. Paul Heyman had to physically pick Benoit up and send him to the hospital with Sabu. The event was clearly traumatic for Benoit. However, Heyman took advantage of the accident and used the footage, which would become infamous and one of the most replayed spots in ECW history, to push Benoit even further, using it to emphasize the Crippler nickname.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I really didn't like that.
No, like I think anybody, if you were doing that, if anybody was the one that like
Yeah.
had thrown him and that had happened, like any of them would have been super upset, and then for that to
Oh,
be
yeah,
like used
yeah.
against you just for like publicity and everything, that really sucks.
Yeah, they do get upset. We were watching Total Divas back when it was a reality show about when the Divas, when they were still called that. And Brie Bella, one of the twins, she accidentally need one of the girls in the face when, you know, it wasn't supposed to connect, and she was like crying afterwards. She felt horrible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it happens. Like, ugh. Anyway, it's rough. It's a rough business, that's for sure. Chris Jericho recalled how a string of deaths of wrestlers and friends, culminating with the death of their good friend Eddie Guerrero, just broke Benoit. He described Benoit holding on to Jericho like a child clutches a parent at the funeral of Eddie.
Oh.
Yeah, it sounded really sad. He stayed out of the public eye afterwards and began withdrawing from friends and family also. He eventually started writing in a journal to help him try and work through his feelings of depression and like grief and hopelessness and all this from like all these people he knew dying. He just felt like if all the other ones can die so young, because they can in wrestling, of course, he might be next. But he just kept working. He never took any time off. Apparently, he did, after Eddie's death, have dreams of maybe opening a wrestling academy one day.
Okay.
And like, yeah, he was like really into it so much that like the sister-in-law Sandra says that she still has 500 shirts that say Benoit Academy in storage somewhere. Like, because he
Oh
was like
wow.
really wanted to do it. But for whatever reason, that one never got off the ground. And then obviously they started their family. Nancy and Chris had a 7-year-old son named Daniel who they just doted on. He was born November 23rd, 2000, which my brother was also born in November. My Daniel.
Yeah.
Then their little Daniel was in horseback riding like lessons, and he had recently just done a full turn around the neighborhood or something for the first time, so they had this big barbecue celebration for him. And this was in June of 2007. Not long before I had my kid. I was super preggo. Which makes it hit even harder to home, though, awfully. From all that's interesting, on June 24th, 2007, Chris Benoit was scheduled to appear at a pay-per-view fight called Vengeance Night of Champions in Houston, Texas, where he was expected to win the Extreme Championship Wrestling World Championship. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, extreme wrestling.
Just say ECW. Okay. But Benoit never showed up. That same day, his friend Chavo Guerrero, the nephew of the late wrestler Eddie Guerrero, received a strange message from the wrestler. Benoit had written, "The dogs are in the enclosed pool area and the back door is open," and texted Guerrero his address.
Aw, that's sad.
Yeah, that's cryptic and weird too, right?
Yeah, cause for concern.
Yes, exactly. Well said. Sportskeeda reports that Benoit's messages didn't cause Guerrero any concern until he learned. Funny you should say that, because he apparently wasn't.
Oh, shit.
Really worried. I don't know. They did say, this is kind of reminding me of something kind of funny that Jericho said about him, that they called him like the Loch Ness Monster sometimes because he would resurface for like a text message, but then like if you didn't like answer his call or like text him back within like a minute, he'd be down under and you wouldn't see him again for like days at a time.
Yeah, I've known people like that. Yeah.
It's a funny nickname. Yeah. But yeah, this was it didn't cause Guerrero any concern until he learned that Benoit hadn't shown up at the pay-per-view fight, which obviously was a red flag. Then he alerted WWE authorities, who called the police. They went to Benoit's house in Fayetteville, Georgia, which he shared with Nancy and 7-year-old Daniel, and found a gruesome scene. All 3 were dead.
Jesus.
Of course. But yeah, it's definitely a trigger warning because it is pretty brutal, though. Obviously it's carried out. They're always brutal. Nancy had been found bound hand and foot, obviously been strangled from behind, like,
oh my god,
I think with a cord or something, but just brutally, like, yeah, he didn't even look at her. Daniel was found in his bed, and Chris had hanged himself off his like weight machine thing. So he had apparently killed Nancy first, I believe, on the Friday night. Then, from what I read the next morning, he drugged Daniel with some Xanax and then smothered him.
Oh. So that was like, not like he flipped all of a sudden and did that. Like, that's... Yeah, that's like 2 totally separate incidents.
Yeah, it's almost like not systematic, but kind of deliberate. I don't know.
Yeah, like, for them to be so far apart, that's right. A little strange.
Yeah, it's not like this one fit of rage or anything.
Yeah.
In fact, he's like, what? Yeah, talking to people over the weekend and stuff. He was, oh yeah, and then he had killed himself on, I believe, the Sunday. So he had taken like the whole weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Nancy had already been dead for like 2 days, or at least a
I
day and a
think
half.
so.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really awful. Chris was found to have had 10 times the normal amount of testosterone in his body after death. So yeah, he
Okay.
was definitely abusing steroids, which people
Yeah.
did know about, unfortunately.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, like as Nancy put it, the WWE wellness program was a joke, which doesn't shock me in the least bit. But yeah, I guess that he'd been abusing those for a while. I'm not sure exactly. I had a quote, in a criminal case against Dr. Phil Aston, Benoit's personal physician, it was revealed that Aston's prescription to Benoit far exceeded the normal amount for a testosterone disorder and was well above the normal dose. I mean,
Oh. I
yeah.
mean, if he even had a testosterone disorder to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's one way to put it, right? It's like, that was too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Many pointing to roid rage, of course, caused by this
Yeah.
steroid abuse. But many also, like Michael, like Chris's father, Michael, also points to the like chronic concussions that wrestlers do suffer, and the CTE, which is the chronic traumatic encephalopathy, I think is how you say it. That comes up with these type of sports careers. So
Is
it's
it
a
like
brain condition.
brain? Oh, is it
Yeah.
like brain swelling, like encephalitis is brain swelling? So like repeated brain swelling kind
Probably.
of stuff?
Or like, yeah, similar because it's linked to repeated head injuries and blows to the head. So
Okay.
it said, or the one medical website or whatever was like, it slowly gets worse over time, leads to dementia. The right help and support can help manage the symptoms. Sorry, this is from the NHS website, I guess. And yeah, it can, it leads to dementia. Also, his father then gave his son's brain to Julian Bales of the Sports Legacy Institute to study. And this Bales guy happens to also be head of neurosurgery at West Virginia's University. So he took a look at it, and he found it to look very different than a normal 40-year-old brain should look. It sadly looked like, quote, the brain of an 80-year-old suffering from Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
Damage was found in all 4 lobes of the brain and deep into the brainstem. It was extensive throughout Chris's brain. This is something you should never see in a 40-year-old.
Jeez. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. He also believes it's the leading cause of the mental breakdown, but cannot say for sure that it was the primary catalyst of his actions. Of course, he's not like a psychologist or whatever.
No, it sounds like it was it contributed, but there was a lot of other stuff that was going on at the same time.
Yeah, a
That,
perfect storm or whatever.
yeah. Just like with all his friends' deaths and everything like
Yeah,
that, and any sort of paranoia or whatever he was having.
right. And then not being able to deal with it
Yeah.
and having your brain be literally like, I don't know, deteriorating, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird too. They said it was this like strange final act. He placed Bibles beside the bodies of his wife and son, even though they weren't religious at all.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing was Sandra, Nancy's sister, speculated that what he was close to, I think it was Eddie Guerrero, who was pretty hardcore in his faith or something. So she thought it might have just kind of like rubbed off on him from someone he really admired, kind of thing. But yeah, that was definitely, they were discovered like as soon as he missed the event. And that's when I said this right, that he ended up phoning or texting Chavo Guerrero,
Yeah.
on the weekend. Yeah, it said somewhere that he had told Chavo that Nancy and Daniel had food poisoning, and then he ended the conversation with saying that, like, I love you or whatever. And then after, Chavo thought it was kind of weird, but at the time he kind of brushed it off, I guess.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just about the
Yeah.
dogs. Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, the text, right, about the dogs, exactly. It was a couple weird things that, like, as soon as he knew that he found out that Chris missed the match, he, like, told the WWE, and that's when they sent over and the police
Wow.
found them. Sorry, I know I have this all somewhere, but I'm remembering it out of order. Yeah, oh yeah, and he had been found he'd wrapped the cord from his weight machine around his neck and hanged himself from the pulley cable after apparently looking up the quickest way to break a neck.
Shit.
Yeah. And Sandra wondered if maybe that was supposed to mirror some sort of fatal injury he could have got in the ring, because maybe he was worried about his neck getting broken. I mean, like that other guys did literally get broken in the ring in the match against him. Like maybe it was some sort of symbolism. I don't know. He apparently had also researched a Bible story about a prophet Elijah and the resurrection of a dead boy. Don't know much more about that. Apparently they talked about that on Dark Side of the Ring, which I didn't get to watch.
Weird.
And he had left behind a note that said, I'm preparing to leave this earth. One thing that made me really sad is how Sandra said that now Nancy kind of only gets mentioned as like a footnote in sort of Chris's story, if he gets talked about at all, because apparently he's like Lord Voldemort, one thing said in the WWE, like you don't like say his name. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like she had her totally her own career and everything going on.
Exactly. And now it's just like, you get remembered only for your death or whatever.
Yeah.
But apparently, yeah, the WWE like almost came crashing down, like Jericho was saying, and he was there, so he would know if that was like, it was so detrimental to the company. Such a bad bit of press to get, right? Like,
well, I can imagine, like, once they start saying all the stuff about like the brain injuries and everything like that, I'm sure you're like, oh, people don't want to support that
exactly,
like as much anymore.
Yeah, because we know it's not good, and this kind of, horrible things,
could happen.
although it might be an outlier, can happen. Yeah, he was like erased from the WWE website, DVDs, everything. Apparently they did change some of their policies. According to Pro Wrestling Stories and Sportskeeda, they implemented a no chair shots to the head rule. Yay! Brought in doctors to supervise matches and started conducting more thorough drug testing. That's what they say.
I mean, yeah, if that's true, that all sounds good, but
step in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah, there's always ways to get around that kind of stuff, though.
Yeah, people are still getting other shots to the head. Tables, ladders. It's not just chairs. And Mike, his dad, Mike, said, I think if Chris Benoit had been anything other than a professional wrestler, he would still be alive. I would like people to have an understanding that the tragedy that took place in 2007 happened because of his career choice. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he definitely is of that opinion on it, which I'm sure that's the kind of thing WWE wanted to get away from.
Yeah, I mean, there is like other, they get talked about too, like people in football and stuff that have also like killed spouses, but they also had that one, what was it, that one Olympic runner, that one guy that had like the one prosthetic
Pistorius,
leg.
Oscar.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. And then that, something Hernandez, I think he was a football guy that had a true crime case. Yeah, exactly. It does happen for sure. It wasn't just one crazy guy with a skate like I was telling you about the other day. This one's like a like a recurring type of problem.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Geez.
I just wanted to end with a little bit about how, like you said, Nancy had her own career, and Mick Foley. There's a picture of Nancy and Mick Foley on the drive. I don't know if you remember him. He was very 80s wrestler, long hair. He wants her to be put into the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he made a post, I think after talking to Sandra, the sister. He said, "For the past 13 years, Nancy Benoit's life has been largely defined in the public eye by how she died. I think it's about time we change that way of thinking. Wouldn't it be nice if we could pause for a moment to remember instead how she lived, how she worked, and to reflect on what her legacy in pro wrestling should be? I would love to see Nancy inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame," Foley continued in his post. Foley then mentioned several different periods of Nancy's career that are Hall of Fame worthy. These included her time as Fallen Angel, as a manager of the Four Horsemen, and her run in the ECW. Inducting Nancy Toffaloni into the WWE Hall of Fame is the right thing to do. Let us remember her and define her for who she was and what she did in life, Foley concluded in the post. And that's all I have.
Yeah. I mean, other than, like, her dating him or them being married or whatever, like, other than that, he doesn't really have anything to do with her career, so why should she get erased, like, so much just because you don't want to talk to him or talk about him? That's fine if that's how you want to react to that, but, like, why does she have to get erased too?
Oh, yeah. It doesn't help anything to just push everything under the rug. It doesn't make things really go away. But that's, I think, kind of what they're like. I mean, Vince
that's what
McMahon's
every
got in trouble for
sport
things too. Yeah. They just throw money at it or whatever if they can.
Yeah. Try to make you forget. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is what the rich people do. They want to keep being the rich.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really shitty. Yeah, she's really cute though, hey? They seemed like, yeah, it's too bad. In another dimension, another world, they're, still a happy family. Maybe.
Yeah.
Woman, man, and child. Just kidding.
Yeah, that's so sad.
It is. It's a really sad one. I'm sorry. But
yeah.
Definitely
What a bummer of an episode.
I know. Literally every time they end, and that's why we drink, because Christine goes second and she does the crime, and then they're like, how many years and we still don't know how to end these because we just bum each other, like you bum me out at the end and then we go, okay, bye.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just go and then I go to sleep and then I just go, oh, that sucks. I need to, like, decompress on my phone. Just look at pictures of puppies on Instagram or something. Something happy.
I can leave you with a very short, sweet review. It's one sentence.
Okay, yeah, we talked about, I said, it's been a few episodes since you read us a review. Let's have a review.
Slacking on our whole format. This one is titled Fun and Informative.
Why, thank you.
By CJIM12, I think.
Are you
and it just
12
says,
years old?
I don't know.
Please elaborate.
CJIM? I don't know. Tell us how to say your name if you're out there. And it just says the hosts do an exceptional job presenting really interesting topics with great research.
Oh, well, thank you. We try really hard.
I think that's a really good compliment. Yeah, like great research. I mean, damn it, man.
It's hard work.
We didn't know what we were doing.
No, it's hard.
Yeah. But it's rewarding when you guys say things like that.
Yeah. We love all our reviews and ratings and all the people that subscribe. We're getting more and more subscribers on YouTube, which has been nice. A few more every time I check it. Send
us some suggestions too. Speaking of rate and review, if you like what we do.
Yes.
Comments and shit.
Yeah. If you have like episode topics even you want to suggest or cases you want to throw out there for us to take a peruse over, we'll see. Maybe we'll cover them.
I bet you guys find some good ones.
Yeah, there's so many out there. It's impossible to know about all of them. So if you have a wild one you think we would want to cover, you can definitely send it our way.
Ooh, do it. Okay, well, until next time.
Did we even tell them what we're doing next time?
Well,
what are we even what are
it's
we
all
even
you,
doing?
Well, next time is 130. We're on episode 130. That's crazy. That's what it will be. It's a paranormal.
Yeah, urban legends from around the world.
She found the spreadsheet.
Yeah. I remembered after you said it's paranormal. I went, oh nice. Yeah, urban legends.
Yeah, we just picked a few ones, and we just picked a few which weeks will be off for the holidays. So we'll let you guys know. Yeah, or we can let you know now. We'll be around for the week of New Year's, and then the week after that. So then we'll be back January.
Yeah, there'll be no episode on December 29th and none on January 5th. And we'll be back on January 12th.
So go hang out with your families, you hosers. Okay. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Keep it cryptic. Bye.
This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Kobe Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.